So when you hear the word confession, the word picture you probably have is of going into a booth. There's a priest on the other side, and someone says, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." And then they can go through their list. And then they go through their list and they've confessed, and then they can just walk out. As we talk about this spiritual discipline called confession, our hope is to make it a little bit clear what it is. It's really a lot easier, and God is a lot more beautiful. When I was growing up with my brother, we lived in Normal Heights in San Diego, which is right above Jack Murphy Stadium, and we would walk around to get to the monastery that was on the other side of the canyon. But we'd walk over there, and like kids do, we broke in to the. We thought we were breaking into the monastery. We opened the door. We're exploring, and they had this. I don't even know what to call it. It was like this rotating place where you could put things on, and it would rotate back, and it had a little buzzer. And so we were quite young kids, and so we just buzzed, and we heard this just beautiful, relaxing, peaceful voice on the other end, and it was one of the nuns. I just kept coming back and visiting. I think this space that they had set aside was for confession. I think it was also for delivering packages, possibly, or going back and forth so you could drop things off. But for me, I thought it was a confessional or something close to it, but I didn't understand what it meant to confess. So I never really did confess. I just kept showing up, bring pictures, and I would just talk to this nun every other day or so about baseball, about girls, about school. And she was so kind, and never saw her, but she was beautiful. She never talked to me about the Lord. She never talked to me about confession. She met me where I was. So even though I didn't officially confess, she was a representation to me of God's love. We see this played out several times in Scripture and in the life of Jesus, which is who we look to see how things are supposed to be. And one of the most impacting passages for me is when Jesus is brought to the cross and there's criminals already up on their crosses. And so they place him in the middle of these two criminals. And one of the criminals is jeering and hassling Jesus while they're dying. And then the other criminal says, "What are you doing? You know what we've done. We deserve to be here." He doesn't. And Jesus' response to the way that this other criminal acts is he says, "You will be with me today in paradise." That man didn't confess either. Not officially. He didn't go to a booth. He didn't talk to somebody else. He didn't write things down. He just knew where he was. He owned who he was, recognized it, and didn't blame anybody else, but realized where he was. Remember when God was coming through the garden, back to Adam and Eve after they had eaten from the tree of good and evil. And he says, "Where are you?" The depth of that question is really for us to ask. Do you know where you're at? And this criminal responds, "I deserve to be here." And it seems almost unfair that he's promised paradise. But that's who God is. To confess is not something to just check off the list to make God happy. It's for us to return to where we're supposed to be. It's one of the very first steps in that direction, to confess who we are and that we're not where we're supposed to be. We're not where we were made to be. This Sunday, we're going to look at several other scriptures and go deeper into what confession looks like biblically. And then we'll also look at it, what it looks like practically. So hopefully you can join us. We'll meet at 10 a.m. Up in the business park in San Clemente. May God bless you. And whether you come and join us or whether you do this on your own, look up deeper what confession is so that you will know the truth and you can be set free.